My name is Scott Smith. I'm a botanist, and I specialize in ferns, orchids, and cactus. But today we're out looking for ferns out here in Rocky Mountain National Park, and in particular we're out here looking for Botricium, or moonworts. And it's late in the season, but we did manage to find two different species out here, Botricium lunaria and Botricium echo. And so we're actually out here today trying to find a few more, and because ferns are at the end of their season here, and so we managed to find them, and we're trying to find this to show the diversity of the different plants that are in the park, and help further science.
How many species of fern are there in Colorado?
In Colorado, we have there are 90 different ferns in Colorado, 20 of which are desert ferns, and typically a fern grows by water. But desert ferns that grow next to cactus, and with no water anywhere in sight, and so they're kind of interesting to find. So 90 ferns, 20 desert ferns, and then within the Rocky Mountain National Park, we have about 45 species of ferns. And,
now, what makes a fern for those who don't know?
A fern is a plant that has spores. Most plants, or most flowers, have flowers on them. Ferns don't have flowers; they have spores, and so that's the difference between a seed that comes off of a flowering plant and a fern which has spores, which is not a seed.
Now, apparently, you were telling us ferns have got to be really lucky to propagate. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Ferns, especially Botricium ferns, when the spore drops down to the ground, it has to drop into the ground, find a water source, a mycorrhizal fungus source to help feed it, and it has to fall into a crack and go into the dark to germinate. So it has many things against it to survive, but they do. And of course, each fern drops hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of spores, so they have a good chance of making it.
And they're a very ancient plant, right?
These Botricium are from millions and millions of years ago. They've evolved over time and still exist today. There's only 60 species worldwide of these today, and about 22 of these in Colorado.
And they're difficult for ordinary people to find because they're so tiny and mixed up with all these other plants.
They're a grand species of its kind will be 4 or 5 inches tall, and that's a big one, a really big one. Typically 1 to 2 inches, and then when they grow within the strawberries and the grasses, they become exceedingly hard to find with a lot of lookalikes.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.